All in favor say aye. No nays, okay. Do we have any, I guess we can open it up for public comment. Nope, okay. We have two presentations tonight. The first is Kevin O'Brien, AmeriCorps Vista service member, who's here to talk to us about the permeable pathway at Missoula Urban Demonstration.
Excellent. Thank you for inviting me here today. Let's see if I can talk and get this in presentation mode at the same time. So thank you all for funding this project. We are almost all the way completed with this project, and I was going to give a little bit of history about MUD, just a refresher for some folks, and maybe some new knowledge they can share back in their neighborhoods for others. So MUD began in '81 as a down home project over on the north side, and kind of was a group of community members trying to be more self-resilient, so growing their own food, sharing different knowledges with each other, and over time they said, hey, why do we have our tools stored in 18 different garages? Why don't we put them all in one central location and share them? And that's kind of how MUD has changed and developed into the tool library that most folks know us as today. Our current location, which we moved to in 2012, is just across the parking lot from Home Resource, or just a block north of the Good Food Store, or if you like Byron Beer, we're just a block south of Byron Beer. So in moving to our new site, we chose to do repurposed shipping containers. So trying to educate, demonstrate, and celebrate urban sustainable living is one of our big goals, and trying to share that with the Missoula community. These two pictures are pretty important for the Pathway project. On the left, you can kind of see that gentleman rolling, using that big drum roller to flatten out and secure the psyllium husk walkway. So that psyllium husk walkway is a permeable pavement of sorts, ADA accessible, and it was eroding away since its time in 2012 that it was installed. So when I came to MUD through AmeriCorps, working on trying to do more purposeful partnerships and trying to keep improving on the ways that MUD can show the community different sustainable aspects and ways we can tie in. That path was pretty well eroded, so in researching different alternatives for permeable pathways, and permeable pathways are important because it lets the water drain through rather than forcing them into storm drains and collecting all of the oil from cars that drip, all the tires, all the cigarette butts, all the can, everything else that you could find on a cement or asphalt. So this pathway was chosen because it had a proven use history in Montana and is used kind of all over the United States, which is neat. And we have I guess an issue with glass here in Missoula that we can't do anything with it. We can recycle it and reuse the bottles at Byron Brewery, or it goes to the landfill. The economy of scale doesn't work for Missoula, and so we end up kind of holding on to the glass that we do have. So there was a guy in town, IE Recycling, Martin No Runner's his name, and he has been crushing glass and holding on to it in hopes to find a project and a use for it rather than sending it to the landfill immediately. So we're pretty excited. We're going to use 3 cubic yards of this crushed glass. You'll see some photos here in a second. We wanted to talk about the community engagement piece again, so we applied for the Office of Neighborhoods Large Grant. Didn't get funded, but then you all chose to fund the project anyways as an example for creative reuse in Missoula. So we're very grateful and are proud hosts of this project. We had over 20 people come and help us with the install, which was great. The Von Commons and Artist Studio just down the way helped us with the design, and those are some of the partners that you could have found on the install day. And please ask questions as I go along. So for this photo, we were able to install the crushed glass pathways for number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we are hoping to secure grant funding to do the additional 5 and 6 and kind of complete the walkway space that we have at Mud. So it does take a little bit of preparation. We had a little bit less to do than, say, you would have to do if it was going to be a street or a walkway as far as the city is concerned. We already had a permeable, compacted sublayer, so all we had to do was level that out. And the cups are only 1 inch tall, and I unfortunately forgot to bring some today. So we prepped around our garden beds and used a tractor and volunteer labor to get it exactly where we wanted it. Thank you. So that roller that you saw at the beginning when they were doing the psyllium husk is still around. So we have tools and try to share them. This woman in particular was part of the Missoula Time Bank, and this was a time bank event, so using people's time instead of money in exchange for goods and services. And it comes in these giant rolls. And essentially, once you have your subgrade leveled out to where you want it, you roll it out, and then you've got like 8 or 9 inch nails with washers on them that secure the matting to the ground. It says it installs in minutes in the brochure. It did not take minutes. I thought I had everything down to a T, but it didn't. So you can see some of our progress here. And I think 20 people for us was the right number, that we could manage everybody and keep everybody feeling busy at the same time. The one thing that I forgot to do is think about the transition. So we kind of had to figure out the day or two before what the transition was going to be from the glass back to the psyllium husk. I think we found a pretty great solution, partnered with Home Resource to get some bricks. And we actually got some photographers to come out to one of our events, which was great, something that we forget to do oftentimes. So we're pretty excited. And the glass, we've got 3 different colors, an amber, a clear, and then a green. And it takes a fair amount of bottles to kind of make the glass. So we're pretty excited about that. We actually got to crush some with Martin the other day, and I'm going to do some more glass crushing tomorrow afternoon. But essentially, we put it in buckets so that it would be easier to separate the colors and pour it out exactly where we wanted it. The cups provide the rigid structure so that this application can be used in fire lanes. It can be used as walkways and driveways. And in the brochure, and they talk about the technical specifications where your fire trucks can drive on it, put the big outrigger arms out to support themselves so that the ladders can go all the way up. So this has a lot of good potential applications here in Missoula and around. The other type that they have doesn't have that white background on it, and it grows grass. So it's a pretty neat application. The Pentagon uses it for their helicopter pads. A couple football stadiums use it as their parking lots, so it kind of mitigates that urban heat island effect of the asphalt soaking in all that heat. So next step, we got to crush some more glass, and hoping to secure a Captain Planet grant to work with youth and get them involved in this project as well for the next steps. And then just trying to create more awareness so you all now have a little bit more information, and when people ask you about it, you can tell them or say, hey, just swing over to the Mud site. And then we're just trying to get more and more people. More people are coming through River Road, especially as the Russell Road expansion happens. So trying to figure out how to best work with the neighborhood and figure out how we can kind of progress in that aspect. Does anybody have any questions about the project?
Your glass. Janet Van Dyke, Muscan Gully. Where are you getting your glass now, since we haven't been able to recycle for quite a while?
Yeah, the gentleman in town is IE Recycling, and he has been taking the glass for a nominal fee, crushing it and storing it. Unfortunately, he is in the process of trying to move himself back to Helena, and so trying to find a community partner to take over IE Recycling and kind of ensure that happens. One of his biggest difficulties is having a committed outlet for the crushed glass. So he's got a couple different crushers and then has kind of a yard facility, but no one secured for like, hey, we want to use this for landscaping. Can we get 3 yards a week or something like that?
I'm curious, what is the white underlayer made of?
It's a landscape matting is what they call it. It's all recycled plastic, and it's heat fused to the cups. So I don't know the specifications of exactly what it's made of, and I have tried to become as much of an expert as I can. And I can share those that information that I have with anybody that's interested. And the other thing that we really thought about with this project and talking with Free Cycles and figuring out ways to limit binding agents, which who knows what's in them and how sustainable they are. This is just these plastic rings. And it will move around a little bit, but not so much that you can't, I've wheeled a lawnmower over it today, and it's perfectly fine. I've ridden my bike on it a couple times and was like, oh, please don't pop, but nothing ever popped. And the parking lot over in Billings, they've been driving on it since 2006. So, thank you. Yeah.
Is there a need to have to replace the glass continuously, or?
No, it'll sit in the cups and kind of break down probably a little bit over time. One of our concerns is thinking about long-term permeability of it. So as the particles become smaller, water doesn't drain through as quickly. But then you just take a shop vac, suck it up, sift it out to the particle size that you want, put it back. And there you go. And it's their technical specs say that it lasts 25 years, which is the same lifespan as concrete, and the grass pave is even longer than that. Yeah.
Jan Kelly, Neighborhood Coordinator. When you brought the sample to River Road, it was really finely tumbled, and this is more like shards. And I'm just wondering what the difference is, and what does Billings have? Do you know?
Yeah, great question. I tried to do some research for what Billings had, and I guess at that point, the state, I believe, had a crusher, which has been sold off and is no longer in operation anymore. And I couldn't get what size of the crushed fineness that they used in their parking lot. And Martin's facility is a passion project, so we were grateful that we had crushed glass to put in it. I think ideally it would be a little bit finer, but we're excited. This didn't go through any sort of chemical wash to remove the labels or anything like that, so it's just less energy expended. So we'll see. Come be a part of the demonstration.
I won't take my shoes off.
So is there a site somewhere or something that lists the various places that have done this around the country? Because you were naming some, right?
Yeah.
And in terms of promotion or developing interest, are you doing that at MUD then by having that sort of recommendation list, I guess it would be, or?
Yeah, we don't necessarily house that recommendation list. It kind of lives in my brain right now and trying to share that information because my Vista term is coming to an end here in the next month. But the DEQ, we've been in contact with them and they're excited to see another project where glass is being used. And I think you can find that either on their website or Recycle, I think it's Recycle Montana has a pretty good list of some of that information. Mm-hmm.
Janet from Moose Can Gully. Do you have figures for what it would cost to use your material per yard versus other kinds of materials?
So they have multiple different sizes of sheets. We got the smallest rolls available, and they were 78 inches tall, and it roughly turned out to be shipped to Missoula $3.25 a square foot. And so you can kind of see the price per square foot for what we got was $289, not shipped. Had we been able to complete the whole project, it was $249, and then the freight, changes because of the weight of the material. So I've been telling people round number, $3 a square foot. And I'm not sure what that cost looks like spread out to, say, if it goes into a bicycle path or a walking path, either, at the fairgrounds or otherwhere in Missoula. And I would think it would be similar because they're already having to do the kind of compaction and preparation for the roadbed before they put the asphalt or whatever else they're going to put on top.
Kim Walters, Coaching River Road. I just wanted to throw in, because you said you will keep your shoes on. So I went over there when they installed it on my way out to Arrington, on the way back, and it was just amazing to see the energy in that group, and it was really amazing to see also this pattern come together. And as I understand, our artists who work a little further down the road, Van Commons, made the design for that. So that's, I thought, was a very neat feature aspect. But I also was a little nervous when I saw this glass, and I thought, will it not cut your feet? Will it not cut? Kevin grabbed into a big bucket of it and crushed it in his hand, and that demonstrated very nicely that it is fairly safe, I would say. And it's not more dangerous than sharp gravel would be, right? You said.
Yeah, and I would agree with that, and I have crushed it multiple times in my hands, and there was someone that took their shoes off and walked across it barefoot, immediately following the install, unscathed. And depending on what further specifications are, or if we do run into issues, it's pretty easy to suck up, throw in a concrete mixer, and then as it goes around, it rubs against each other and takes off some of those sharp edges. And we do have a concrete mixer that people can check out from Mud.
So you're saying one could do it at home, in a home project?
You potentially could, yeah. The
Wow.
issue we're bumping up against right now, and thinking about the progress of this project, is that our source for the crushing the glass is trying to get out of the glass crushing business. So he's hoping to, like I said, hand that off to another community entity so it stays in Missoula, so more people have opportunities to say, hey, how can we use this, rather than, well, we have no choice but to chuck it in the landfill.
And you need quite a few bottles to be able to do a certain, or do you have the ratio of how many bottles you need for, doing like a square yard or something?
No, I don't have that ratio, and I was thinking about that the other day as we were crushing, and, it depends on if you buy a salsa jar or a little thing of honey versus, some of the bigger jugs that you can buy, or it's a growler. They have different amounts of glass in them, and we did, almost 2 large trash cans full, and it wasn't as much as I thought it would be. There's a lot of, of that space that's just air inside the bottle.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Kevin, so much for coming.
Yeah, excellent, and thank you again for wanting to see this project through. If you have any additional questions, the email is mudvista@gmail.com. And then anytime the tool library is open, which is Monday and Friday, 4 to 7, Saturday, Sunday, 10 to 4, please stop on by, and one of us would love to give you a little tour.
Great,
Thank
thank you. Okay.
Note for the record, Ray Allen with Far Views Patty Canyon is present, and Ed Nolder with Riverfront is present.
Ray Eaton. It's Ray Eaton. Sorry. That's okay.
Next, we have Guy Baker with the Missoula Police Department Detectives Unit.
Unfortunately, Guy is not here. I don't know why. He did not tell us he wasn't coming, so we did expect him. So I guess we'll
Should
just
we just
continue
move
on with the
on?
agenda. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have the Neighborhood Council and Community Forum report, and I believe, okay, Jane?
Okay, community forum bylaws say the community forum leadership team can consist of 3 to 7 members. We presently have 6 members: Ray Ayton, Jeff Stevens, Doug Grimm, Jesse Neidick, Mark Foss, and Marisa Phillips. And we can have a 7th one, that's 6. If anybody would like to join the leadership team, nominate yourself now. Okay, Janet. Wonderful, Janet. They meet the second Thursday of each month at 6:30 in the Jack Reedy. Now, we won't vote on you till next month. So that's the way the bylaws are written. So you're in nomination. Thank you. You're in nomination. And so anyway, we'll vote on you next month. You'll be on the agenda. Thank you, Janet.
Next, we have staff reports.
Okay, I will start. What I have to report is that I have been elected to the board of the Missoula Neighborhood Watch, and I've been working with them and getting them to neighborhoods, and now we have a board that's elected, and I think there's about 6 or 7 members, and because it had gone inactive for a while. So now we do have a good team, and last night we had a member of the board come and present to the Ruth Can Gully, South 39th Street. And so now it's not just Ethan Smith coming around. So we're promoting the Neighborhood Watch. And the other thing I have, I'm not going to say too much about this because I don't want to steal everybody's thunder, but we organized 2 events in neighborhoods doing cleanups that was quite successful, and one was in the morning, one was in the afternoon, and I'll tell you one because the one representative isn't here. We did Rose Park. It was a combination of the United Way Day of Service. They got volunteers from different businesses around the area, and they teamed up with the National Wildlife Federation and the neighborhood volunteers from the leadership team and myself, and we put in a morning, and we cleaned up the Slant Street Gateway Park, which is on Mount across the street from the fire department. And it was a lot of effort, a lot of clipping, a lot of weed pulling, and there's still plenty more to do. So I think we're going to organize another event, and I won't tell you about the other one, though.
And for my report, I just wanted to remind you all about the Facebook page. If you're on Facebook, be sure to check us out. And Sylvia's doing a great job in keeping that updated for us. She's also been working on a template for resource pages for each neighborhood, and we will be bringing those with us to the leadership team meetings, seeing how you want that formatted and adding resources that are specific to your neighborhood. So that'll be coming up at those leadership team meetings.
Okay, for my report, I guess I've been working on the resource pages and getting some other filing stuff done, but I'm working on actually completing the all of the neighborhood project funds that have ever been requested, whether they were approved or not approved, on the this like long Excel sheet, like 100+ cells, and getting the hyperlinks fixed so that you can see like the project plan, the project budget, info about the project, and then even like recommendations of like why it was or why it was not approved. And I'm hoping to finish that before the end of the summer. But that's really just it.
I have one more, Jane Kelly, I have one more thing to say. I missed this, but as you know, Community Forum voted to ask for an increase of $7,000 for the neighborhood project funds. The budget this year is being done a little bit differently. So each department is presenting to City Council, and the mayor has not made any recommendations. So in the city clerk, Marty presented on Wednesday to the Budget Committee of the Whole and requested and said that we had a request from Community Forum for $7,000. There had not been an increase in, I think, 16 years. So the way this is going to go is usually the mayor will give first, second, third priority. In the office, it was given first priority. There were two items. So that was given first priority in the city clerk's budget. And so the presentation was made to the city council, and after the Department of Revenue figures come out in August is when the mayor, once he knows how much money he has, then he's going to make recommendations on all the new requests in the budget, and then it'll go to city council for a final vote. Okay, any questions? Thank you. Right.
Ray Ayton, I keep forgetting to use the microphone, apologies. Sylvia, what's the best way to get to the neighborhood, Office of the Neighborhood's Facebook page? What would you enter in the search?
It's a really long name, so I would maybe suggest if you type in City of Missoula, it might pop up with other City of Missoulas, but generally like the Office of Neighborhoods, and like Facebook usually like pops up stuff that is near you, so it should pop up this Missoula one because that's where we're located. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It is also listed on the front page of the city website. On the right-hand side, there's a list of all the Facebook pages that the city has, and we are listed there as well.
Thank you. Next, we'll do the neighborhood council reports. And since we started over there, maybe we could start over here for that.
Mark Foss, Southgate Triangle. Car wash is about to open, finishing it up down there on Brook Street. I think Jane sent out, we have some sandwich boards that we're not using anymore. They're wooden, kind of heavy, and they'd have to be refaced. But if one of the neighborhood councils want them, there's 5 of them. You don't have to take all 5, you can just take 1 or 2 if you want. And get a hold of Jane, and she can get a hold of me or Skip or Kelly Lloyd, and we'll get them to you. That's about it for me. Thank you.
Davis Ritzma, Franklin of the Fort. We had our last meeting recently and discussed some possible projects, including some kindergarten playground equipment at the Franklin Park, and potentially a piece of equipment that would be ADA accessible. Also a landscaping project along the ditch in Franklin Park. Talked briefly about the Bitterroot Trail is being completed. There's a section that has been that is not complete yet, and there's a ribbon cutting ceremony sometime after July 8th. So there'll be a ceremony and celebration for that. And we just kind of finalized planning for our general meeting, which is July 10th at Franklin Park, getting everything squared away for that.
Lisa Phillips, Heart of Missoula. We did not have a meeting this month, but our general meeting is next month, July 31st. So we have one meeting right before that, and I'm really excited. It's at Kiwanis Park, and it's going to be fun. That's it, thanks.
Jeff Stevens, South 39th Street Neighborhood Council. We had a joint meeting of the Missoula and South 39th Street councils. I think there are other neighborhood councils represented there as well. There's meetings at Playfair Park. We had some very good food and a good turnout. John, how many people finally turned out for that meeting?
55.
55. So that was a nice turnout. And we had a pretty long list of topics we dealt with. We did a neighborhood project prioritization. I haven't seen the results of that yet. We had a presentation on the proposed town hall project above the Wapaki area that involves, I believe, 68 townhomes and 34 structures. So it's going to be a pretty good-sized project. We had a presentation on the Russell Street reconstruction, the new bridge, and the bicycle pedestrian walkway. So it's going to be a continuation of the Milwaukee Trail. We had a presentation on Neighborhood Watch, and we also had leadership team elections, and I believe Missoula acquired three new members? Three, and South 39th acquired another member on our leadership team. And I believe there are some other topics that are slipping my mind right now. Maybe Janet could refresh my memory on that when it's her turn. And that's about it. Thank you.
Leanna Waller with the Captain John Mullen neighborhood team. It says it's on. Is that better? Maybe? We met last week and discussed some things that are happening in our neighborhood, the progression of the Chuck Wagon Road, the playground that we've been working on. We had a presenter with Empower Montana, Jesse Yeager, who came and gave some information about their organization and what kind of things they're doing in our community. We discussed our general meeting, which is planned for August. We don't have a date yet, but we're working on that. And we plan to meet again in July. And that's it.
Colleen Beal, Lewis and Clark. We actually benefited from the United Ways cleanup. We were the afternoon shift for the people. It was wonderful. We worked on our entrances to Bancroft Ponds Park and looking forward to our signs being put up probably towards the end of July that we got the small grant for. And we are investigating an outdoor classroom for the park. It was used by over 500 kids this spring from the 3 schools that are in our area, the Sentinel High School, Washington Middle School, and Lewis and Clark, and various other entities, daycares, and that kind of thing. It was a very busy place. So we're excited about possibly getting that rolling. We've got a lot of things in the works for that. Our next meeting will be in August. The steering committee for the pond, for Bancroft Ponds will be in a couple weeks. And our general meeting is scheduled for September. So thank you.
Ed Mulder, Riverfront Neighborhood. We had a leadership team meeting at the Dog and Bicycle Bakery Cafe on June 11th. We discussed that gate that's on Hickory Street and kind of by Craig, where Craig and Wyoming come there. They have a gate that they close for different special events like Osprey games and those kind of things, but they don't really close it anymore. And so we're talking with the city to have that removed. And we also have another meeting, another leadership team meeting next month, and we're going to discuss when we're going to have our general meeting. Likely it'll be at I forget the community bike center, or the free cycles, sorry. That's all. Thank you.
Jack Walton, Miller Creek. Today, the upper part of Shaver Drive got striped with the bicycle lane and parking lane, and They went down as far as the pavement is in. And so, anyway, it's striped. I know I've heard a couple comments, some people didn't realize that when they chose a lot and wanted a house built. And then they found out afterwards that that was approved for bike lanes on that street. We have 3 supplement subdivisions active right now. We got Shaver Drive, the lower part, middle part. There's 61 homes going to go in there. Then we have, in our neighborhood, we have the Teton Edition of the Missoula Ranch, along Christian Drive. And then we also have, I see they changed the name. It used to be Meriwether, but now it's Carla Joe. And that's just as you come up Miller Creek, there's a subdivision going on there. It's about 13 homes already, and that just started about 2 months ago. So that's a lot of activity going on. And then we'll be planning our meeting for our general meeting, and that's going to be coming up here soon. And we'll also update the forum on Jeffrey Park. They've installed tables, picnic tables, soccer goals, and Little League backstop. And they had dog meat stations and things like that. So, and there's a Eagle Scout project going in. They're going to be putting in a small amphitheater, some benches for a small amphitheater. So, and that project will not completed, but there'll be a couple other Eagle Scout projects to finish that project off. So that's my report. Thanks.
Kim Walters, River Road. We had our meeting on the 20th of, it was the 20th, I know, it's the 20th. And we had a presentation by Chase Jones, the Missoula Energy Conservation Coordinator, about Missoula's Zero Waste Initiative. As you know, there was a resolution in 2016 to cut down waste by 90% until 2050. So he gave a presentation about these 4 paths that should lead that way. Access, infrastructure, education, and policy. I assume that you all had heard this presentation, so I'll keep, no, you have not. So then I recommend very much that you invite him. It was very interesting. He had this handout where this is more exemplified: access, infrastructure, education. This is also on the website. You can find that on the website, City Missoula website. I don't know the link. Maybe we can find the link for it. I saw that exactly this is there. So, yeah, we had a long discussion. It was very interesting, and so way too much to say. Yeah, I really recommend that you invite him. But I had a few takeaways personally, that the community is very in strong support for this initiative, which was not a surprise to me. But the other one I thought was interesting, that private companies will be running that. From my time in Germany, I know that's usually government-run, but here it will be a private company will do most of it, and that Republic Services, which is a huge company in many cities, is in other cities much farther than here, and they already are closer to that goal, and that might be easier to implement. So there are negotiations with Republic Services. This is just a fraction of what we talked about. So, but I really recommend that you invite it to your councils. Well, the second were some street issues. We have this new stop sign on the corner of Catlin and Wyoming. That's where the food bank is, and West Side Lanes, the bowling center. And it was switched around. Now everybody in Wyoming can race through it, and people coming from Catlin have to be careful. And it was made as it was changed because of traffic accidents, and now the issue is that even more accidents seem to be happening. And so Nick has suggested that we look at the data from accident before and after the sign. I personally think a 4-way stop would be great because everybody's cautious. That's my experience with these in town. I like them best. So that was that's a weird subject because you want to make it better and then you don't know if it really improves the situation. And then our neighborhood in general has the problem that we are lacking infrastructure. We've seen so much development, residential development, and street connectivity not holding up with it, and no sidewalks we are missing, and so there's no lighting on the trail and all that. One of those is that also the sidewalk situation on one of the through streets, it's like Curtis Street, which connects 3rd Street with River Road, is a wild path up and down, and we saw that Public Works, it must be, put some white stripes down to make it a little more safer, so people see also in the dark where they can go and where cars couldn't get. So we were very happy about that. They come out magically and put lights on Curtis Street recently, and so these little things pop up. We ask for them and suddenly they're there, so that's a very nice little element. Then the crossing of Russell Street is always an issue, of course, now with the construction. I personally think that it's not so bad because all this construction slows down traffic enormously and leaves more gaps to get through. I have a feeling that I get better from Wyoming to Russell than I ever could sneak in. It's absurd. Let's see when the 5-lane is in, how that will be. But and also the bicycle path was good in my view. Oh, and there was a recent detour, effective, I think, from yesterday on. If anybody needs to use it, we have it on the website, on the Facebook site, the map, so you can see where the detour goes, if you need it, if you come into that area. Then, we started planning our general meeting, and that will be on the 12th of September at the Garden City Harvest location on River Road. They have these fancy new barn buildings and all that, really nice. And we also have our leadership meetings there from now on, really nice place, and that will be on the 18th of July, the next leadership meeting. Sure, that's it. Thank you.
Jeff, the only items that I didn't hear you mention that we covered were a presentation on trees by Chris Boza, and I don't know if you mentioned the presentation by Missoula Water, and also presentation by Colleen on the Bancroft Ponds. But I'm really delighted that we have new leadership coming to help us out. Thank you.
Okay, Ray Ayton, Far East Petty Canyon. So we have our next general meeting coming up on July 12th. We're going to start at 5:30 so we can have ice cream available as an inducement to get people there. We'll start the meeting thereafter. One thing, a word of caution, is that we were excited about asking one of the ice cream preparers, Big Dipper, to come. But their truck is not available a good many days of the week. So if you're thinking about it for your neighborhood council, check in with them. Wednesdays and Thursdays in particular in the evening. I think they're always down at Karis Park, so don't try. Things that are going to be general items on the agenda, we're going to have somebody come and talk about urban deer. It's finally become a big issue up in our area, which I think it's been for a long time. We're going to do some more talking about safe routes to schools from up in our neighborhood, because everybody needs to get down to the Lewis and Clark School, so it's about where the crossings are, because we think the data says that the 2 safe crossings are not being used as much as they could be, so we're hoping by informing the people that are with younger kids that are moving into the neighborhood that they'll start using the safer passages. We've got the master planning going for both Whitaker and Nick Pata Park, and along with that, Parks and Recs has actually put up a sign in the middle of this field, so we now know, hopefully, as neighbors, where our park is with its strange name. And we're going to have Neighborhood Watch come. I don't know that it'll be Ethan or who will be the speaker, Jane, but that's been on the agenda.
I think it's Ethan.
Okay. And then lastly, we revised our bylaws, so if any of you still haven't done it, it's pretty straightforward. Jane can give you a template, so basically all you have to do is put in your neighborhood council name, and it's been approved by the attorney, so we're hoping that we'll get it passed at the meeting. And that's it for the agenda. And yeah.
Great, thank you. It looks like Michelle is not here, so, did you have yeah, go ahead.
Jeff Stevens, South 39th Street Neighborhood Council. I noticed that over from the presentation, you mentioned the gate that goes across, I believe it's Hickory. I know I was at a ball game there the other night, and I noticed that the gate was not closed, and I was kind of surprised. Is there any neighborhood controversy about the fact that that gate is not being used? I was put in there to control traffic through the neighborhood.
Ed Nolder, Riverfront. I think the controversy was they just didn't use it anymore, and I don't know any more about it other than that. Jane, do you know?
The neighborhood council wrote a letter to the mayor because the mayor negotiates the contract with Playboy, Missoula, and the neighborhood council leadership team asked that the gate be removed since Wyoming is now a through street, and it's not as necessary as it was.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking that gate was part of the initial use agreement with the Osprey and Play Ball back when we negotiated it years ago. And I just wanted to make sure that everyone was good with that gate not being used. And so I think that probably answers my question.
Go ahead, Jen.
That's correct, Jeff, and it's going to be renegotiated. I'm not sure when it was put off, but the mayor will renegotiate with Play Ball, and that's when they will look at that gate.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. So Michelle, it looks like she's not here, so we won't have a report from her tonight. I will be taking these items to the city council on Monday, July 2nd. And our next community forum, Marisa will be moderating that on July 26th, 2018. Are we motion to adjourn?
I'll move it if we need one.
Okay. Do I need a second?
Second.
Okay. Do I get to do it? Yes. We're done. Thank you for coming.
I think you may be the record holder. It's not even 9 o'clock yet. Wow. Huh? Yeah.